Hello, beautiful being. I wanted to share with you something I realized yesterday. This is something that forms part of the lessons I'm learning as I surrender to Source in every moment, whenever I remember, as much as possible. So, this is a process of learning to exercise a muscle to create a new way of being so that I am rising up into cosmic consciousness, as we're all talking about doing. And so I've mentioned this before, but I honestly believe our sole focus is to go into the unified field with Source, to realize who we really are and to return to where we're really from. And this involves stepping out of the illusion of the matrix, of the simulation. And I like using those words because I think it's the best way to describe what this illusion is. So the question is, it's challenging, right? So the question is, how do I keep stepping back into the unified field? Well, one thing that came up for me yesterday when I was just doing my usual chores around the house, and a thought popped into my head. And that thought was a personal preference of what I liked and what I didn't like. For me, a noise outside that was previously considered annoying in my life, because I put a judgment on it as being undesirable, as being something that I did not like, a personal preference, a critique, a judgment. And I realized in that moment that I heard that noise and I made that decision that I did not like it, put a judgment on it, that I had jumped back into polarity, back into the simulation, the illusion of the simulation, back into pain and suffering and separation, all simply from a little thought of what I preferred in the moment because of an outside stimulus, an external force. It propelled me back into the illusion. I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. And what I realized in that moment was that our thoughts are constantly pulling us back into illusion, into separation, into polarity, duality. And so when we have these thoughts that are preferences, what I like and what I dislike in this life, you can be sure that that's a marker for you to recognize that you're going back into polarity and you're not in the unified field with Source. Because if you're in the unified field with Source, you are in pure loving awareness. You have no preferences. You certainly have no judgments or critiques of anything because you're not in a space of separation, polarity. So this is what I urge you to try. If you want to practice really being really good at being in the unified field with Source in every moment throughout the day, and this is complete surrender, complete detachment, complete disidentity from all of the systems and programs and controls that you previously grew up with. If you are willing to try this, I urge you to do, because I believe it's the one path to truth. There are many ways to find God, but this is the direct one, I believe. This is direct to Source. I've done a couple of videos, the last 2 videos about this, but if you want to go direct to Source, then practice recognizing the thoughts that come into your mind in every moment. Recognize when they are preferences, judgments, or critiques, and you can be sure that you've fallen out of the unified field, that you have gone back into the illusion. So our higher selves are always with Source outside of the simulation, but we get fooled very easily by our egos, our brains, our programming, our scripts, the automaton programming. And we really, to raise our consciousness, to step up in our perception, to reach cosmic consciousness, we can no longer be fooled by the system of illusion that keeps us in polarity and duality. So next time you have a thought, yes, go, wait, hang on a second. No, I'm not going to allow this to pull me into polarity. I'm not going to follow through on that thought. I'm not going to decide and agree that that is my preference. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to surrender it. Now, I know this is very potentially controversial and challenging, but like I mentioned, I really am focusing on direct to source, straight to the truth, straight to the unified field, straight to communing with God, with the creator, with source of all things, with love, pure loving awareness. We don't have preferences, we don't have judgments, we don't have critiques. When we realize who we really are, we are just one. And that is such a beautiful feeling of bliss and peace. Guarantee you, peace will come when you practice this. When you practice stopping those thoughts of judgments, critique, and preferences, more peace will come to you. This is what's happening for me, so I'm sure it'll happen for you. Now, I'll just check my notes here. Really, what I'm saying is our thinking, our thoughts have been fooling us, and we've become a slave to the system, to the simulation, to the program, and we can stop doing that. We can become conscious of that. And then we can use this energy, all of this energy and focus and distraction that we've been using for our personal preferences, our likes and our dislikes, our judging of the world, our critiquing what's good and bad. We can use this energy to rise in consciousness, to return to source, instead of using it in other ways. Imagine how much more powerful you are. As we know, energy goes where energy flows where attention goes. This is a powerful principle of vibration, manifestation. If you want to manifest a way of living that is always in the unified field with source, then use that energy that you were using previously for preferences, likes, dislikes, judgments, and critiques. So this is a new way of living in a higher level of consciousness. And I believe eventually we get to a point where we stop thinking. Yes, indeed. Where that ego voice no longer has a space to speak to us. Imagine the peace that would fall over us and become part of us when we don't have that little voice talking on and on about the simulation and its programs and telling you where you sit in the simulation. Imagine the freedom. That, my friends, I believe is true sovereignty when we stop thinking. And I believe that's what all the ancient teachers and masters were striving to achieve in their lives, was that oneness. Because when we stop thinking, we aren't in polarity. So let's all go for these higher levels of perception. Let's do it. No more mucking around. I believe the time is now. This time of somewhat peace we can use to practice this, to make it the most important thing in our lives. So yeah, I hope you resonate with this. Please like, subscribe, and share if you do. Have a beautiful day. See ya.